What is up, everyone? It's CK sitting here with Sergey, talking Bitcoin Black Friday. This stream is brought to you by BitcoinBlackFriday.com. Today is the day. Go over to BitcoinBlackFriday.com. Get tons of amazing deals. I know that Bitrefill has been extremely busy this Black Friday, and they are our official Bitcoin products sponsor. Bitrefill has been the original company helping people live on Bitcoin. They are effectively the original Bitcoin product company, although I think that could be something that is disputed. But in my heart and mind, one of the most important companies in Bitcoin. You guys have been innovating for a long time. I'm super excited to do this AMA with Sergey. Sergey, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the kind words.
So I guess really quick, I forgot to mention, what is your Bitcoin Black Friday deal? Why don't you kind of give us the details on that?
Well, we're doing it a little bit differently this year, and we have a deal on Christmas gifts to highlight a new gift feature that we have on the site. And so you can get all your Christmas shopping on Bitrefill. You'll get an extra 5% off in a discount on the purchases. And all of the usual sats backs and discounts, plus all of the usual deals that the different brands have available. So it's a pretty good deal, and it's a good time to do your Christmas shopping with Bitcoin. We've even though the last 2 days were slightly less rich than we were earlier this week, but the Bitcoin year has been good, and maybe it's a good time for everybody to be good to your surroundings as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bitcoin Black Friday is all about the Bitcoin circular economy, right? It's about, Bitcoin needs an economy. It needs its own internal economy where Bitcoin is the unit of account and the means of exchange. So we are here to celebrate that. And again, I think Bitrefill has been a big part of enabling that. So I want to dive a little bit into this feature that is kind of a key to this discount. It's a feature where you can buy a gift card and there's actually a date where it is like unwrapped or it becomes officially open.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about this feature in particular and when you guys like rolled it out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've started doing this. It's called sealed codes, which basically means that you can buy a gift, but it's sealed, and until it is sealed, you can be sure that nobody has seen it, which is pretty useful if you want to give the gift code away to somebody, and they can be sure that it hasn't been redeemed already, right? And so on. It's just a convenience feature, really.
Cool. Well, I know you need to use the feature to get the 5%, but I do think it's pretty cool that you guys have that ability. I want to talk about what Bitrefill is seeing from the Bitcoin ecosystem and the Bitcoin circular economy. I'm sure you guys have a lot of really cool statistics kind of under the hood from just activity on your platform. Can you kind of talk about the evolution of the Bitcoin ecosystem, spending ecosystem, and maybe let's call it the last 12 months?
Good question. I mean, the last, I would say, 2 or 3 months have been especially crazy, and probably that coincides with, to some extent, with the growth of the price of Bitcoin, but also a lot of other things. We've added some new products, and there's been a couple of big sales, and generally, given the circumstances in the world, people are e-commercing a bit more, and ordering home Uber Eats for food and stuff like that. All of which is things that are supported on Bitrefill, and so we've had a couple of very, very strong months, and we've had to deal with scaling related issues that we didn't, let's say, imagine that would occur with growth. keeping different the right products in stock and so on. But it's been fun. I'm not complaining. These things are champagne problems to have, and the only part that sucks is that we're not able to gather the team given the circumstances, and so we can't actually celebrate all these things together like would have been more appropriate. And as you know, it's weird to cheer on Zoom. Like it's, but it is what it is.
You don't get the same satisfaction from the ching ching when you
Yeah,
when you're on Zoom, that's for sure. So can we
exactly.
dive a little bit deeper? So obviously, trend going online, that's a macro trend that we're all following because we're into Bitcoin. But and obviously kind of COVID is making that kind of increase. But can you talk a little bit more about in terms of like the Bitcoin circular economy, like how has that really evolved since you got into the space? Like I'm assuming obviously the volumes have all increased significantly. But there is a very strong meme around like, hey, don't spend Bitcoin. No one's spending Bitcoin. It's for hodling. Can you talk about where you're seeing spending, what that spending looks like, and how has it evolved?
Sure. I mean, like these memes. Look, we support that meme, but that meme. We're not. That's the live on fiat meme, and we prefer the live on crypto meme. And as such, we think that there's nothing wrong. On the contrary, it's pretty cool to be able to live on crypto. Obviously, there's a lot of people coming in, and I don't think that these things are even like there isn't even a tension. Like we don't encourage people. So maybe this is unusual, but like we don't encourage people to spend their bitcoins. Uh, we just say that hey, you probably shouldn't spend your bitcoins, but statistically, every time that somebody buys bitcoins, somebody else sells bitcoins, right? And we're a much better option than selling your bitcoins in an exchange. And so that's all and everything that we aspire to be. And so maybe you'll even start seeing that in some of our marketing coming up. That hey, whenever you're ready to spend your coins, whenever that personal moon is for you, we'll be there, and we'll provide you with the best service. And if you're not ready to spend your coins, well, then you absolutely shouldn't, and then probably no discount in the world is going to convince you of that. And so, and nor should it. But there's plenty of people out there that are definitely living in crypto and spending their coins. It's both people that have been in the game for a while, but it's also people who earn an income in Bitcoin and for natural reasons just live off of it. And those are our hardcore fans. And yeah, that's kind of. Sorry, I lost you.
If you use Bitcoin as your bank account, then services like Bitrefill are some of the easiest way for you to get liquidity on your Bitcoin
Right.
without a lot of other complications. So
Exactly.
I understand why people are such big fans, especially the ones who are in that position. Can you talk a little bit about like the importance of gift cards? Like a gift card is such a humble thing. It's people in the fiat world are like, oh, why is gift cards so important to the Bitcoin ecosystem? Can you talk a little bit about that? And I mean, maybe
Sure. Well,
even
I mean,
what's the dynamic?
well, a gift card is an IOU issued by a company, right? And so uh, it's it's an infrastructure that wasn't really designed for the use case that we're using it. But nonetheless, it's the closest thing that we currently have to private money, right? I mean, a gift card for Amazon is basically Amazon dollars, and as such, it's quite convenient for us to be able to service this customer base, which is still. I mean, like let's not kid ourselves. Like the circular economy is much smaller than the industry of selling people Bitcoins, right? I mean, there's us and maybe a couple of other similarly sized companies that are servicing that size. Whereas if you look at all of the people that are like, hey, you can buy Bitcoins here, right? It's like a much bigger market, right? But yeah, I think that's the thing with gift cards is that it allows us to present this very attractive offering, and it is from a regulatory standpoint as well. It's something called closed loop products, which is regulated like sales of goods and services, basically. Which means that unlike many other companies, we're not a financial institution, and so we don't have the same requirements. And so you can shop on Bitrefill without having an account, for example, something that you maybe can't do with traditional exchange. And that creates a convenience, and that creates a lot of other benefits as well. So I lost you now.
No, sorry, I keep muting myself. You're good. It's me.
All right.
So speaking of gift cards, one of the, I think, coolest gift card that you guys offer is actually Bitrefill dollar and euro gift cards, and maybe you actually offer other fiats too. I can assume that if there's a hardcore Bitcoiner living on Bitcoin who uses Bitrefill to, access a lot of goods and services, that this tool is also very useful. Can you talk about these, I guess, Bitrefill gift cards and maybe how Bitcoiners are using them?
Yeah, I mean, especially for people who live on crypto, the volatility of it is an issue, right? And if you get paid a salary, then you oftentimes want to cash it out right away before the Bitcoin price moves up and down. And so we have this product, the Bitrefill Balance, and there's also the Balance card that you can get, and you buy it like you buy any other gift card, but you can redeem it to your Bitrefill Balance in USD or in euros, and then you have a Bitrefill Balance in USD. And so this way, like if you think about it, it's a more natural way, because a lot of times Bitcoiners want to sell at a particular time, right? When they feel like the Bitcoin price is advantageous. Whereas they want to maybe buy something with their money at a different time when they feel like they need something, right? Or maybe when it's a discount or sales day or something like that. And so this way you can sell your Bitcoins when you think it's a good price. You can keep it in USD and then use those USDs to purchase anything you want on Bitrefill whenever you want it.
Starting to get a bunch of questions rolling into the YouTube chat. The first one is we have Omar who's asking, can you elaborate a little bit more on folks who earn income in Bitcoin? I guess, do you have any insights into, how many people you think are earning income through Bitcoin, maybe some opportunities to earn income through Bitcoin? I guess it's a pretty open-ended question, but what are your thoughts on earning income through Bitcoin and that trend?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think it's always hard to assess, right? And the only thing we can do is to ask our customers and assume that they're being honest. But I mean, there's a lot of people. First of all, like there's a good amount of people that work in the space that get paid in Bitcoin. In the Bitrefill team, there is a lot of people that get paid in Bitcoin. I'm guessing maybe you guys do at Bitcoin Magazine. Not sure. There's a lot of people out there, right? And in a lot of ways, we're building this economy, and it's kind of natural that we use our own, eat our own dog food, so to speak. On top of that, there is people trading, which is a pretty big one, which is sort of it's sitting right there, but people sort of pretend like it's not there. And guess what? Some of them end up in a profit. Most of them don't, but some do, right? And some of them make a living this way. And then there's different types of services. There's stack work where you can get paid in Sats over Lightning for doing little micro tasks. There's people who just participate in different referral programs and things like that. Like, there's a lot of ways to make a living in the crypto world, and the ingenuity of the Bitcoiners never ceases to surprise me. Let's say, I don't know if that answered the question or not.
I think it answers it to the best of your ability. Pavel next is asking, can you describe the typical buyer persona spending BTC these days? I'm sure this is something that, again, you only have anecdotal, I guess, facts on, but maybe you have more info than what I assume you have.
The typical customer persona.
Yes.
Well, all of us, I guess. But yeah, either people who are earning Bitcoins or people who have Bitcoins. And since people have Bitcoins since before. I mean, again, the whole thing is like, there is this narrative on Twitter that nobody ever sells ever, but statistically, every time somebody buys a Bitcoin, somebody else sells a Bitcoin, right? So there's a lot of people that are selling Bitcoins all the time, and if they're not, the price goes up, and then somebody else sells their Bitcoins. So in reality, there is a huge and very vibrant economy, as it should be, and in which we feed all kinds of different professions, not just Bitcoin miners, but we feed our own, at Bitrefill, we feed our team, you guys, media arm, and so on. Like, there's a lot of people who get a salary, and this is all sort of, people tend to compare, say that, hey, the burn rate of Bitcoin is the mining. Well, it's a lot more than that. It's also all of the salaries of all of the people that are getting paid in Bitcoin, right? And all of those Bitcoins need to be liquidated, and so on. So I think in the end, the customer persona is not all that different from you and I. We're all sort of, to some extent, customers.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Also, Bitcoin businesses that accept Bitcoin, all those exchanges, they're liquidating at some point in their supply chain or in their chain. Speaking of kind of the personas and maybe even correcting misconceptions about the Bitcoin economy, during the Baltic Honey Badger Conference 2019, you gave a presentation that was very interesting, and you kind of talked about things like blockchain.info's wallet and how dominant it was with Bitrefill commerce and stuff like that. Do you have updated like kind of statistics and facts about Bitcoin users kind of on like the wallet level or things like that?
Well, it still is dominant today. I can tell you that one story that I intend to write up at some point, I haven't had time to yet, but during one of these high fee periods that we've had in the past couple of months, we actually rolled out a feature called the BC1 addresses, the BEC32 format addresses as a default, and we kept it like that for a couple of days. And in the end, we decided to roll it back because we were seeing a very high amount of drop-offs, people that were simply not able to pay to one of those addresses. So this isn't just people that can't, that don't use those addresses themselves. It's that their wallet can't even send to one of those. And so this is something that is common, or at least at the time it might have been fixed already. But currently, the blockchain.info wallets on mobile, both on Android and iPhone, can't send to BC1 addresses. And there's a couple of exchanges as well that also aren't able to do that. And in the end, like, we tried a lot of different things to sort of steer the customers to had another path for them and so on. But in the end, it's like, it's weird explaining to people that there's different address formats, and this one is 25% cheaper for us, so we kind of like you to use it. But at the same time, some people can't pay to it, and so we had to roll it back. So, and that does say something about not just about blockchain.com, but like about the bigger question of that the traffic on the network is very different than the guys on Twitter sometimes think.
What percentage of the traffic of the network do you think is being controlled by quote unquote, companies that are not aligned with Bitcoin best practices?
Well, I think when the pseudonymous developer known as 0x B10C wrote up a study about it, and I helped him out a bit with proofreading and so on, and he landed at that it is at least a third of all transactions that are directly coming from the blockchain.com wallet, and that probably another 10% are other services that are not upgrading and so on. So it is 40%.
You'd say 40%.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
Wow.
You can just look at on the transaction fee.info site. You can see the SegWit adoption, and that's a pretty good sort of estimate.
It's very interesting how kind of like the intolerant minority, in terms of the minority within Bitcoin that is sticking to legacy, is still powerful enough to hold back, you guys from going full BC1, right?
Yep.
And it's just very interesting to kind of see how that, how kind of upgrades and changes work.
The same
and
with
what factors
with Lightning adoption and all of those things. Like at the end of the day, a lot of people are just sticking to things. If it's not broken, then why upgrade or why fix it and so on, and have that attitude, which to some extent can understand. But it is unfortunate, and probably something that we should have spent more time thinking about. Like for example, with the BC1 addresses, like we could have made a backwards compatible way of paying, right? And sending the new addresses as a get variable or something. Like, there's a lot of solutions that could have been done, but weren't, because we assumed that everybody would just upgrade. And in practice, that's not always the case. And a lot of people use Bitcoin and don't really care about it. And I actually think that that's a good thing. Like we shouldn't require people to have it as their primary interest in life. To not everybody. Like, it's enough that some people do.
Yep. So Shitcoin Minimizer is asking, when Twitch gift cards?
We have Twitch gift cards.
Maybe
already.
It depends on the country.
Yes, we have them in the US. Sorry about that. We do always try to get things as international as possible, but sometimes that's not a possibility. But we do have them for the US.
So can you talk about kind of like the dynamic of Bitcoin users US based versus maybe Europe based versus third world or international based? I'm sure you have some interesting insight into that.
Well, yeah, I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, to be honest, I think the similarities are bigger than the differences. Like, usually people are surprised and imagine that Bitcoiners in emerging markets are fundamentally different. They maybe have maybe at most have a different skin color, but at the end of the day, no, like at the end of the day, people they have their Bitcoins, and everybody is concerned that am I selling them at the right time, or will it go up more, and so on. And so certain things and services have traction in certain countries, of course. And I mean, the US or maybe Western English speaking, let's say, Bitcoin community hangs out on Twitter, same as they used to hang out on Reddit. But I'm kind of already sensing that maybe we've reached peak Twitter, and that it's soon going to be time for something else, in a similar way to how Twitter arose, and was some type of high signal, low noise environment when everybody was on Reddit. Maybe it's time to do another migration. but yeah, to answer your original question, it's not that big of a difference. Like it's more of a difference in like what inventory we have. Like in the US we have a lot of stuff. In many other countries we have much less stuff. And so in the US we have people that live on Bitrefill entirely, and some European countries as well. But we don't yet have that kind of coverage everywhere.
So speaking of Bitrefill coverage, we have a question asking about what is next for Latin America for Bitrefill.
Ooh, good question. I think Latin America is a very important market for a lot of obvious reasons. There's a lot of things there that drives people to live on crypto. Let's say we in the past year, I guess, or 6 months, we've launched in Brazil and Mexico, and need to be and in Colombia and a couple of other places. We're looking quite a lot at Latin America, and I don't want to pre-announce things, but there will be more Latin American countries with good support from Bitrefill coming up soon.
Awesome. Well, that is bullish news for everyone living on Bitcoin in Latin America. Pavel, next from BTC Pay Server, wants to know what is the most common support question or problem that you get from customers after paying with BTC?
Why is it not confirmed?
Oh, why is it not confirmed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why isn't it? How about, I mean, what's next?
What's next?
I mean, what's the next most common question?
The next biggest good question. I mean, if we group together different kinds of something didn't work, I mean, support is support, right? You only hear support from those where something has been suboptimal somehow.
I have a good follow-up here. Not to interrupt, I have a good follow-up. So obviously, 2017 was a crazy time for Bitrefill. That's actually when you guys first introduced altcoins, just because Bitcoin fees got so crazy. How is Bitrefill getting ready for the next fee run-up?
Right. Well, I mean, we are as ready as I think as it can be. We are in different ways. Like we have user accounts, right? It's not a requirement, but it's obviously not a secret that you can get scale efficiencies if you deposit to your account once and then you purchase from it over a period of time, and we encourage people to do that. We have support for several altcoins, and that does help for people who have those altcoins and are able to pay that way during periods when fees are high. Fees are high these days. They're high almost every day, at least on work days and during US working hours. So
For
it is
immediate confirmations. Yeah.
well, yeah, and so we do work with our zero conf system, but we only accept that up to certain amount limits. We try to within reason be as tolerant as we can there. Other than that, I mean, we're thinking of how we can promote Lightning more and drive customers to use Lightning, but on some levels, I think that the natural disincentive, that is the transaction fees, should be a sufficient incentive to drive people to all of these solutions. But at the same time, maybe we're also noticing that there are a surprising amount of people that don't care so much about the fees.
That's interesting. I mean, you said that they're up, but they're still pretty reasonable. I track fees pretty closely, and there's only like 2 weeks where it was it was more than $5 fees for the next block. But
sure, but $5 is crazy expensive. No, I mean, everything about $1 is expensive in my world.
Yeah.
And so
and maybe that's just the Western mindset. Can you talk a little bit about the I guess the variety of payments that you guys offer, and then like what's the breakdown? Like what percentage is BTC on chain versus Lightning versus, I mean, any altcoin that has any significant volume?
Yeah, well, Ethereum has pretty significant volume. It's at around 10% of our flow, and has been growing steadily. Other than that, we have Litecoin and Dash and Dogecoin that are somewhat smaller. And yeah, we support Lightning and regular Bitcoin payments, and we have an integration with Coinbase, so you can pay from your Coinbase account with any of the currencies that Coinbase supports, which is a lot of them these days. Yeah, that's what we currently have. The vast majority is people doing Bitcoin transactions the old-fashioned way.
So can you, I guess, is it like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Lightning? Like what's kind of like the breakdown there? I'm interested.
Yeah,
And
Bitcoin,
then,
Ethereum, Lightning.
and what's the percentage there against Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus Lightning?
I need to check, but it's around 80% Bitcoin and something like that.
So like 80% Bitcoin, 10% Ethereum, less than that Lightning, then
5%,
altcoins.
5% everything else, and 5% Lightning, something like that.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I love tracking those numbers. I went on a back and forth with Jacob from Coinmetrics, who was saying like, there's no volume for Bitcoin payments as it is. So any Bitcoin dominance doesn't really matter. Something divided by zero is still nothing. But I'm just kind of curious to see, is there room for Ethereum to pick up on Bitcoin from a payments perspective?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Ethereum has a lot of the same scaling issues that Bitcoin has, and like there is now sort of they're behind on their scaling situation, and they're now starting to look at things like layer 2 solutions and roll-ups and things like that. And we'll see. We'll see what comes out of that. There's some stuff that again might work. I don't know. I haven't dug too deep into it. I'm more of a practical guy. I like to test things when there is something to test. But I mean, at the end of the day, neither of these things alone solve the big question, right? But I also think that where we are now, the scaling is not what's holding the industry back. And I've been saying that for 2 or 3 years now. It was what was holding the industry back in 2017. Definitely isn't now. Like, if people wanted to do transactions and weren't able to, then they can use Litecoin, they can use Bitcoin Cash, they can use Dogecoin, they can use Ethereum, they can use rollups, they can use Lightning.
Infinite scaling.
Well, kind of. The problem has been overkilled, and maybe there is some it's problematic that there's so many different solutions and that they're competing for which solution is the best. If there had been only one, then that would have been great, and we would have just standardized on that. But this is how decentralized stuff works, and I think we're going to have to live with it. And I'm looking forward to see the real centralized solutions show up. When we get the central bank digital currencies and the mythical Libra, who knows, maybe that will launch. There was something about that in the press today. Or maybe PayPal will do something with crypto.
Would you integrate with PayPal? They talked about having like a kind of a closed PayPal crypto economy. Would you integrate with that system?
Maybe. Yeah, I'll need to know what the rules of the game are there, I guess.
Okay, but it sounds like
traditionally isn't known for their hard money type of approach. And I don't know if PayPal with the unit of BTC would be any different.
It's still PayPal.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they're evolving and they're trying stuff, and they're clearly paying attention to the space and they're learning. Like from my perspective, I think it's very interesting to read like the copy and sort of it's a good look into their current understanding of this space.
Yeah, and it's very interesting watching people go on the Bitcoiner journey. Much more, influential and powerful people going through the Bitcoiner journey, and we're seeing a lot of CEOs go through that journey. And I think we need to keep in mind that many of them are still noobs, and they will learn from experience.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting how Bitcoiners cheer for them as if they're geniuses when they make their first move, and then when they make their second move, there was this, it follows in the same intellectual pattern of the first one, and they suddenly turn on them. And now we turned on Raoul Pal, and we'll see if when Bitcoiners are going to turn on Michael Saylor.
And others.
I expect it to happen soon. But which brings us to an interesting question that I've, if I can maybe ask you or the audience.
Yeah.
Do we think that when people buy their first Bitcoin, on average, are they buying it sort of for a smart reason, or are they buying it for a dumb reason?
I would say that 90% of people buy it because numbers go up and then figure out the rest of it after the fact.
Right. For example,
and then how the rest of the experience goes is highly variable.
Exactly. Yeah, but probably it's not. Most people just do that. I know that was the case for me. So so we have an industry that massively rewards that. And we need to be aware of that. Is that probably that is the most successful move you can make. And that kind of explains, I think, a lot of the things that we see in the broader crypto ecosystem.
No, yeah, I think the entire crypto ecosystem is just a fractal off of Bitcoin, if you will, and everything that Bitcoin has is turned into every flavor, kind of like and echoes throughout all of the space. And there's absolutely a huge incentive for aping in and and just buying a bunch and riding it and having no idea what you're doing, custodying it and making every wrong mistake along the way. So I guess this is my last question for you, but going into what we assume to be the 2021 bull market, what's your biggest fear? One, maybe as a Bitcoiner, and two, as the CEO of Bitrefill.
My biggest fear. Well, okay. I'll give you a real one. My fear is for the privacy, which is currently being under a big attack. And I think that we're also seeing different kinds of scary rumors from the US. And I fear that the same people that brought us the China bans Bitcoin meme might bring us a more exciting sequel called America bans Bitcoin. And we'll see what are the different things, but that is something to fear. And I think that people take a little bit too lightly in the space, especially the number go up enthusiasts. I find don't always think about those aspects and what it would look like and what might actually happen.
Yeah, the chance of the US banning Bitcoin, I feel like decreases with every day, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see if we reach escape velocity, and we'll see what flavor it gets banned, right? Because it could be a KYC withdrawal ban, and that could be a lot more dangerous just because we're not banning Bitcoin. You can still get exposure to Bitcoin, but I know
There's a lot of things that could happen. That there's not an outright ban as well, and I think the Libra hearing is a good example. When somebody too big tries something, then the system kind of cracks down upon it and sets it back in a big way. And I don't know. I'm not saying that it will. I hope it won't, obviously. But I think that that combined with the recent noise about privacy-related questions is, I would say, should be enough for people to stop arguing about the little petty grievances that we have with the slightly different Bitcoiners and focus on the big picture.
No, I think that is extremely wise, and I can tell that you're thinking adversarially. Sergej, I know that was kind of like a last word, but do you have any last words for the audience, and where can they learn more about you and your work?
Oof, good question. I guess my last words are, don't spend your Bitcoin. No matter what they tell you, don't spend them. Save them. They're going to go up and be worth more. And when they are worth more, then Bitrefill will be waiting for you with eager arms and will be the best solution for you to spend your coins. But where can you find out about me? You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Zigamon, and you can also contact me. You can find Bitrefill at bitrefill.com and at Bitrefill on Twitter. I think that's about it. Thank you so much for this chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great weekend. And everyone, it's Bitcoin Black Friday. Get your holiday shopping done on bitcoinblackfriday.com. Go over to Bitrefill and use their special gifting feature to give some Christmas Eve and Christmas gifts and get that 5% off.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
All right. Cheers, guys. That's it for us.